Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights special episode, tribute to Lou Brock, who passed away Sunday afternoon. They said unknown causes, at least the preliminary report, no mention of whether it would be a COVID-related thing, but Lou had lost his leg from diabetes a number of years ago and had cancer and supposedly was doing well with cancer, but he'd had serious cancer, and he was 81, born in 1939. Remembered as super fast with some pop in his bat as well. A very exemplary player, a Hall of Famer. Not back in the day, not first ballot, but his career spanned from, I think, 19 years, from 61 to 79. And then he got in the Hall of Fame in 85, and you typically have to wait 5 years. So the mode in those days was to a guy like Brock, who would be, with his 3,000 hits, would definitely be in the Hall of Fame, would still have to wait a year, which was just the protocol. He had his 3,000 hits, which was considered an automatic ticket to get in the Hall of Fame. And then he was also the stolen base career leader until Rickey Henderson broke his record. His career was in the pre-fantasy baseball, pre-rotisserie baseball for the most part. And so you're dealing with a guy who was appreciated, but wouldn't be the tracking of his stolen bases and hits and RBIs and runs scored and everything else. I remember him as an outstanding player. I was a Pirate fan, so he was originally a Cub, and then in the very actually infamous trade, he was traded to the Cardinals, their biggest rivals, the two more Western National League teams from back in the late 50s, early 60s. He was traded for Ernie Broglio and Bobby Shantz. Bobby Shantz very much at the end of his career. Ernie Broglio, they didn't realize he was at the end of his career, but he had the proverbial sore arm. Now, card collectors know that in the hierarchy of players, typically hitters are valued above pitchers in terms of card values. On the other hand, especially a young player that's exciting, which Lou Brock really was. It was super exciting whenever he reached base and was obviously potential to steal at any time. He had this great pop-up slide, which I could imitate indoors on carpet, but not as well outdoors on the sandlot. You'd come up with, actually you'd want to pop up, but you'd pop up with some raspberries, strawberries, whatever you want to call them, on your leg with some of the fields that I played on. His autograph was not particularly that difficult because he was a good guy. And he was awarded a number of, just the awards that he got speaks to the character of Lou Brock. He won the Roberto Clemente Award, which is involved, and it's a character award, but it also heavily involves community involvement. Lou Brock, check, just outstanding recognition to be the one guy for that year to get the Roberto Clemente Award. He also won the Lou Gehrig Award, which again epitomized by Lou Gehrig's integrity and character. It had nothing to do with the disease, but the way that Lou Gehrig played the game showed up, and consecutive game streak. So Lou Brock also won that. He won the Hutch Award for Freddie Hutchinson, who that award is for fighting spirit. And Fred Hutchinson was a kind of a bulldog pitcher back in the late 40s, early 50s, and succumbed to cancer at some point, but fought through it. Ironically, cancer was in Lou Brock's future as well. He won the award in 1979. And then many years later, he also is hit with cancer. Lou was actually on 6 All-Star teams and was never the MVP. It came in second to Steve Garvey in 1974. And that's wonderful to be the second best player in the league. And Garvey had a really good year, and the baseball writers vote. He came up big in the big games, noted as his winning the Babe Ruth Award, which was for the outstanding postseason player, and that was in 1967, the second World Championship that Lou was a part of. He was a part of the 64 Cardinals World Championship. In fact, when he was traded mid-season 64, that kind of turned things around for the Cardinals, and they went all the way. 67, they won again. 68, they would have won, but they were knocked out by the Detroit Tigers, Mickey Lolich, and all of that great run that the Tigers had in 68. Lou rhymes with boo. I don't think he was booed very much but Lou, the drawn out Lou, which applies to, it's only done affectionately with players that the home fans, so they're not booing when they're Louing. Lou, I don't think he was the inventor of the Brock umbrella. You'd have to go and Google that, but it was a kind of a helmet that could go on your, wasn't a helmet, but it was like a little umbrella that would fit on top of your head. And in case there would be rain at the stadium, you could put it on. I think it was a stadium novelty more than something that people would wear around town. An idea that was almost a great idea, but certainly interesting. And Lou, it was the Brock umbrella, and I don't think it ever got to big mass production, but it was an interesting novelty. Lou is regarded as being part of the worst or best midseason trade in baseball history. And that he was traded for Ernie Broglio. Back in the old days, the general managers did these things, not a lot of sabermetrics. And Ernie had a decent, actually more than a decent past. He'd been third in the Cy Young voting in 1960 and was actually ninth in the NL MVP voting. In fact, his Cy Young back in 1960, in the early days, the Cy Young award was given to the best pitcher, including both leagues. So he actually came in third, but that included everybody in the American League, and it's a third best pitcher in baseball in 1960. But if you dig into the stats, you can see that he did have a great year, but he was used not just in starting roles, but also in relief roles. And so that was his peak. And as I said, with the way trades were done back in the day, I guess the general managers talked on the phone or just met and said, I got this guy and I want this guy. And Ernie Broglio and Bobby Shantz and somebody else were traded for this promising young player, Lou Brock, who really had not hit his stride with the Cubs. They were giving him a chance, but oh boy, did he come on strong with the Cardinals. Just like with card values, the past performance is frequently an excellent predictor of future performance, but not always. Ernie Broglio was traded. Past performance was really good, but his future performance did not bear up. Brock went the other way. When I'm buying cards or advising people about buying cards, you're always looking for that the supply and demand. Again, it's just not considered properly sometimes, that it's the supply and the demand at that prevailing price. And so if you look at Lou Brock's cards, his 62 Topps rookie card, I think a little bit condition sensitive as the 62 Topps are. Not one of the mid to late series, card number 387. I never saw those in quantity. So I think but on the other hand, it's a $250 raw card according to the Beckett OPG. Again, that would have sounded pricey 6 months ago. Now it sounds, wow, that's only that for this legendary player who's now passed. 63 Topps, he's in that next to last series. For me, that was always the toughest card of Lou Brock's. It has good value. Again, not particularly condition sensitive for me, but the tougher in terms of supply. 64 Topps was easy. And then 65 Topps is card number 540. It's listed as an SP in the price guide. Again, I'm not the guy anymore, but that's not my recollection. That my experience was not that was an SP any more than any other 65 Topps card that was in the last series. So the other thing I would point out with that is that when we're looking at past trends and future trends, the current trend now, in some cases, is to pick up LeBron James' first card with the Lakers, or Anthony Davis's first card with the Lakers. 65 Topps. 64 Topps was first series. He's obviously on the Cubs. 65 Topps last series. By then he's been with the Cardinals. So that's his first card with the Cardinals. I don't know that I'm going to see any kind of run on that, but that's a trend that seems to be more established as we speak. When I look at the different Lou Brock cards, I really see a guy that's not, it's hard to say. He has his own following. He's not the biggest star, but he obviously has a following. Again, all those awards, great performance on the field, a really good guy off the field. So are there any bargains in his cards? When Rich and I do these episodes, we're drawn to some of the stuff that not just the supply and the demand, there's a relationship there, but if you start with low supply, you're already halfway there because you don't need that much demand if it's a very low supply card. So we're looking at the Venezuelan issues and the OPG versions and some of I look at the team packs and any test issues. Again, not high demand for those, but the supply is so low. There's probably a lot more demand. And again, the demand would be there unless the price gets so high that people say, hey, I'm not going to chase that because that's perceived to be too high of a price, which is that prerogative. So that's the dance that collectors have, is that when something is in vogue, you chase it. And then when you chase it up and the price gets up really high, then you say, maybe you don't want it that bad. In fact, that's what needs to happen. That's what collectors need to say, is that I'd like to have a Lou Brock card, and you start out thinking about the rookie card. Again, logically, makes a lot of sense. But if the rookie card gets run up too high, being the operative word and difficult to determine, but if that perception is, hey, the rookie card is now fully priced, no room to go up, then people might chase the second card, which, as I said, is, I believe, tougher. Third, 64 tops, pretty easy comparatively, and then 65 tops, a high number. First card with the Cardinals, you might see interest there. So that's just some of the potential buyer psychology. I'm not saying everybody thinks that way, but Lou Brock had a lot of fans. Not Brockabrella fans, but fans for the player that he was and the person that he was. And I wish baseball had. I'm always appreciative of stars that are quality people and give back, which clearly Lou Brock did. So thanks, sponsors: Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Hugs and Scott Auctions, ComC.com, as well as Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. You can find Lou Brock cards, plenty of them. You know where to find them, but the Beckett Marketplace has a bunch. Certainly ComC does. And if you're in Aurora, Colorado, you know where to go. If you're in Burbank, California, you know where to go. So thanks, everybody, for just an opportunity to give tribute to Lou Brock. I think he has not been in good health for a number of years. When you have an amputation, that's when COVID doctors talk about comorbidity and other factors. Lou certainly had that. So I don't know what got him, but no one lives forever. And when you do go, are you going to be missed? So I think quality people are missed. That's my theory. So I'm trying to be a good guy, and I hope you are too, or an outstanding young person or man or woman, just to be exemplary. You don't have to win the awards, but again, Lou Brock, gone at 81 years old. Thanks, everybody. Be back again tomorrow with another episode.